Hi, my name is Sarah and I'm a second-degree black belt in Taekwondo as well as a yoga teacher, and today I'm going to show you about 6 or 7 stretches that are going to help you increase your flexibility as a martial artist. Let's go ahead and get started. We're going to begin with an IT band stretch, so go ahead, stand up. You're going to bring your feet hip width and then just find a forward fold. Okay, so if you can't come all the way down to the ground, that's okay. Just come as far as your range will take you. And if you have yoga blocks, you can use those on the ground to help elevate the ground up to you. Okay, from here, you're going to take your right foot and cross it behind your left. Now come to the outer edge of your right foot and bend into your left knee, your front knee. Okay, you should feel a nice deep stretch running along the outside of your right leg and IT band. If you can't bend into that front knee as much, that's okay. You can keep it a little bit more straight. But the more you press your chest towards your thigh, the deeper you're going to feel this stretch. Make sure you're relaxing your head, and we'll take a few deep breaths here. Go ahead, unravel, and we'll take the same thing on side 2. You're going to cross your left foot behind your right, come to the outer edge of your left foot, bend into your right knee as you deepen your stretch, folding more toward your thigh. This stretch can be pretty intense, so make sure you're breathing. And try not to tense up your jaw or shoulders as you're here. We'll take 2 more deep breaths. Go ahead, unravel, and we are coming to low lunge. Step your right foot forward, left knee back, lower your knee. And this is just your classic low lunge. You've probably seen this before. Your knee is over your ankle. You're squaring your hips forward. And you can have your back toes tucked or flat to the ground, whatever feels more stable for you. Now to deepen this hip flexor stretch, you're gonna just shift your hips forward a little bit, but make sure it's controlled, right? We don't wanna just dump the weight into your leg and cause tension in your low back, so really controlled as you shift your weight forward. So this, again, is mainly for your left hip flexor. Now, if you want to deepen this hip flexor stretch, I've got another variation for you. You can lower your right fingertips down and then take your left arm up and over. And if that's too intense, just come back, keeping your hips squared. Now I'm going to add on a little quad stretch. If this doesn't feel good in your knee, then just go ahead and skip it, and we are going to continue to stretch our quads afterwards. But if you want to try it, we'll start by lowering your left palm to the mat. Shift your gaze over your right shoulder, and then from here, begin to lift your left toes. Our final step would be to reach your right arm back, grab hold of your foot, and you can pull your heel a little bit closer towards your glute. Bonus, we have a nice chest opener here in the right shoulder. And we'll take a few breaths. Go ahead, gently release that foot, come back to your lunge. From here, shift your hips back to your heel, straightening your right leg, and lower your butt to the mat. Okay, so the right leg is extended. We can have a micro bend in that knee, and you can move the fleshy part of your calf muscle of your left leg out to the side so that we can lower your sit bones to the mat. So we're taking a half hero posed variation. If this feels like enough stretch in your hamstring and the top of your left thigh, you can just stay here. Otherwise, we'll begin to lower our palms, maybe even your forearms, down to the ground behind you. And you can also take this lying down. This feels pretty intense for me when I lie all the way down. If you're feeling any pain that's not stretch, then just come out of it. Come back to your forearms. Let's take one more deep breath here together. And then come on up, release, and we're gonna take this all to side two. So starting with your low lunge, left leg is forward, your right knee is back, your front knee's over your ankle, hips are even and forward. Again, those back toes can be tucked or flat, whatever feels more stable for you. And just breathing here, right? This is our first variation. If you'd like to come a little deeper, begin to shift your hips forward. Nice and controlled, nice and easy and gentle. And if you have a lot of hip flexor flexibility and you would like to get deeper into it, left fingertips come down. Reach your right arm up and over. Coming to our quad stretch, lower your right palm to the mat. Shift your gaze over your left shoulder and then begin to lift that back foot towards your glute. Final step here, your left hand goes to meet your foot and to pull it in towards your glute, increasing your quad stretch. This is also a good groin stretch and chest opener. 2 more breaths. And releasing your foot gently, half hero pose. Shift your hips back towards your right heel and then lower your seat to the mat. Adjust however you need, maybe pushing the fleshy part of your calf to the side, maybe taking a micro bend in that extended leg. From here, begin to lower your upper body back behind you, just as much as you need to feel a good stretch in the top of your right thigh. Keeping your thighs parallel. And we'll take a few breaths. Let's gently come out of your half hero and we'll unravel your legs, coming to pigeon pose. Bend into your right knee, send your left leg long behind you. So we want our hips more or less squared towards the short edge of your mat. If you have really open hips, you may be able to bring your right shin more parallel to the mat, but if not, keep that heel as close towards your midline as you need, working to bring that right hip down to the mat. Extend that left leg long behind you, being mindful not to sickle your toes and kind of turn them inward or outward. Just have them nice and long behind you. Now this is a glute stretch primarily. We're also stretching our hip flexors. And we have a lot of modifications for this. So if you find that if that right hip is lifting up a ton and you can't get it down to the mat, you can bring a prop, maybe a yoga block or a blanket underneath your right hip so that you have something to lower your hip down to. You can also take this, if you're having knee pain, I'd recommend you take it either in a seated figure 4, or you can also do this lying down in reclined pigeon. Now, if you're in this variation with me, then you have the option to bring your hands forward a little bit and begin to lower your chest towards the mat. So maybe you come to your palms, maybe your forearms. You can also lower all the way down, resting your head. So we're going to take about 2 more breaths here. And coming out of your pigeon pose, just slide your leg back to all fours, and we're going to take this to side 2. Left knee comes forward behind your left wrist. Right leg extends long behind you. Hips are forward. And same thing, whatever variation you're in, you can begin to soften and to come a little bit more deeply into it. So maybe coming to your palms or your forearms or lowering your head. And remember, you can take this with a prop underneath this hip, or you can take it in your reclined pigeon, lying down, or just a seated figure 4. And we'll take a few breaths. Come on out of your pigeon pose. Use your hands to help you come up. You're going to tuck your back toes, lift your hips. We're coming into Gomukhasana, or cow face pose. So keeping that left knee in front, you're going to slide your right knee to stack right behind the left. Go ahead, kick your feet to both sides, and now using your hands, you're going to gently come back to a seat. So this is a really nice abductor stretch. You're going to feel it in the sides of your hips. We want to keep some brightness in your feet to protect your knees. And if your knees aren't stacked directly on top of each other, that's totally fine. This pose may look a little bit more, maybe even like the bottom leg extended if you can't bend that knee. Okay, so again, knees don't have to be directly stacked on top of each other. We're working to draw our sit bones down towards the mat. And I like to focus primarily on low body stretches because I do a lot of kicking in Taekwondo, but maybe if you do a martial art where you're also doing a lot of punching and upper body, you can also take a chest opener here or some sort of bind that's going to help you broaden through your collarbone and stretch your shoulders. So a common one we do in yoga with Gomukhasana legs is reaching right arm up. You're going to drop that palm towards your middle of your back, and then the left arm's coming below. Bend your elbow. Try to reach those fingertips towards your fingers. Now you need a lot of flexibility in your shoulders to do this. I have really tight shoulders. I can only do this on one side. So don't worry if you can't get into this pose. You can simply take a different bind, maybe clasping opposite elbows at your low back, maybe clasping palms together, or even just stacking your palms at your low back. Anything that's going to help you counter slouching, hunching, or drawing shoulders up towards your ears. So draw your shoulders down and away. And we'll take a few breaths here. Go ahead and gently come out. And we're just going to take this to the other side. So come to all fours again. You're going to bring your right knee forward this time and then slide your left leg behind, bringing your knees to stack almost, and then kick your feet out to the side. Use your hands to gently bring your hips back to the mat. And then option to take your chest opener, whatever variation. Wonderful work. Go ahead, release gently, slowly. And we're gonna come to a wide straddle next, stretching our hamstrings and your adductors. So face the long edge of your mat. Bring your legs nice and wide. Sit bones down. We're gonna start with a nice tall and straight spine. Okay, so keep your spine long. It helps to kind of have an anterior pelvic tilt. So it's kind of like you're arching your back, pushing your hips forward, and that's gonna help you get deeper into this pose. You can begin by walking your fingertips forward, maybe your palms, maybe you can even lower your chest to the mat or the ground, but just be careful. Okay, no need to overstretch here. Again, try to keep that straight back, and then once you're feeling like you can't go any further, maybe you begin to soften into it and allow it to become more passive. And sometimes it's a little too intense to come just right into this posture, so sometimes I do a few walk backs with my fingers, and I do it a few times before I hold it for a longer period. I'm going to give you another variation or thing you can do in this wide-legged straddle that I usually do is a side body stretch. So you're going to take one hand down and then just reach opposite arm up and over. You can bring your elbow down to the mat, or maybe you're just up on fingertips, but wherever you are, focus on bringing that top shoulder back so that we can open up through your chest as well and create a little bit of space between your rib cage and your hip. If this hurts your neck to shift your gaze up, then simply just lower, shift your gaze towards the ground. And then we're going to take it to side two as well. Opposite arm comes up and over. Working to draw your top shoulder back to open up through your chest. And then one more time, we're going to come through center. So let's bring both arms up. And again, finding that anterior pelvic tilt. Arch your back, lengthen through your spine. Try to keep your heels grounded for now. And now just using your active flexibility, we're coming low. Feeling a really deep stretch in your hamstrings. And then once you can't go any deeper, fingers come down. Continue to lower, and then just relax into the posture. Let's take 5 deep breaths here together. And as you're ready, begin to walk your hands back. We're going to use our hands to assist, bring them behind your knees, and then lift your legs up to come to a seat, and we're going to close it out here. Thank you so much for joining me in these stretches. Let me know in the comments below what martial art you practice, and if this has been helpful for your flexibility journey. I have a ton of other videos like this, yoga for before you kick, for after training, and more basic stretches for those with a more limited range in their flexibility. So I hope that you'll check out those videos. Please like, subscribe, and just let me know how it goes, and I hope to see you soon. Namaste.